Radio Raheem.
Hold on. Actually, because this is the other way around. I saw your interviews with Oscar. I saw your interview with Bob Arum, where you asked very difficult questions. And so I know what you're going to ask me.
Do you?
I already know what you're going to ask me. You're going to ask me the same. You ask them.
I'm not going to ask you what you think about you coming back to the sport. They were actually
fun again.
Right. They were actually very gracious about it. You know, Oscar said he doesn't see you as competition.
Yeah.
That seems hard to believe because you're literally competition. When you come back into a sport like this, we can all talk about that and what that means. But the time that you spent away is also very interesting because you can tell the difference. At least you know what happened in the sport when you're involved and what happened in the sport when you're not involved. When you were having to sit back and watch boxing unfold, were you happy with what you've seen over the past 2 years? What would you have changed if you had been a player?
Well, you know, I have a feeling that the quantity is great. I mean, we see more boxing today than we have ever seen, and but I think the quality maybe suffered sometimes a bit, and that goes for every single promoter out there. Matches nobody really asked for, so I think we need to focus a bit more on quality. But I think it's great. You see boxing today on all these different networks, free over-the-air networks. I just mentioned, you know, you watch the men's basketball game final from the Olympics from Rio, and right after you have one of the brightest stars in the sport, in my opinion, the brightest star in the sport, the future pay-per-view king, no question about it, Errol Spence, performing, and you had 6 million homes watching. These people could have turned off the TV if they wouldn't have been entertained, but they were entertained. And that brings fans to the sport, and we just need to make sure that we keep the consistency of the quality of the product up there. But I'm very bullish on boxing, and I'm excited to be back.
The quality of the sport depends on the matchups. Everybody knows that. Before your hiatus, if you will, it seemed that we were getting some quality matchups because there's two models, I guess. The promoter model where you have your stable and you fight your guys with your other guys, and the free kind of agent market where you're willing to let your guys fight under other promotions. Which one do you subscribe to now? What's best for the sport?
Well, if I look at 2013, that was probably one of the best years in boxing. You know, the media generally said that Showtime was bigger and better now than HBO boxing, and we just really kicked ass. You know, with some of the fights we did, and that's what I want to do again. And I think if that means that you work with whoever it is, then that's what it means, and we need to do that. And I you know, in the beginning of your interview, I mentioned Bob Arum, and I saw the interview you did with him, and he's absolutely right. I don't have a problem dealing with Bob or with Oscar or with whoever it is if it means that we can deliver a great fight. And if we don't promote together, that doesn't mean I need to go and have dinner with them every other night or call them every other day. This is business, and that's how we have to look at it.
There's been an exchange of words over the years between you and Arum, certainly, and between you and Oscar towards the end. So now that you've officially re-entered the sport, if you guys are going to work together, the question is, who extends the olive branch? Do they have to? Should they call you and talk to you about possible matchups because you're here, or because you've just arrived on your own? Do you reach out to them?
Oh, come on! I'm not going to call them. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Look, there's no reason to call now. I think, you know, if the right fight, the right matchup needs to be done, I know where to find Bob. Bob knows where to find me, and the same is with Oscar. So, but this is not like, you know, you have to, you know, olive branch and shit like that. I mean, no. I mean, we, you know, when the time comes and the right fight is there, we'll work together, and that is the mindset, you know. So we really, you know, let the bygones be the bygones. And I know you guys from the media liked it when, you know, Bob and me and all were going back and forth, and it was very colorful. And who knows, that might happen again too.
Well, we like it best when the matches get made, even better than the sound bites. So now that you're officially a promoter on your own, independent, but obviously you have a close relationship with Al Heyman, you guys have worked well together before, do you consider yourself like his first go-to promoter when he puts fights together? Are you now kind of the face like you were at the podium today?
No, I mean, I basically, I'm a promoter who is going to promote the event. And if my services are needed from somebody to promote the event, such as Al, then I'll be happy to provide these services, just like we've done in the past when I was at Golden Boy, We promoted fighters which were under contract with Golden Boy, and we promoted fighters which were not under contract with Golden Boy. And this is exactly the same setup here. So this is not a matter of like go-to promoter or this or that. I hope I'm going to certainly throw my hat in the ring, so to speak, to promote some of the PBC events, and that's fine. If it happens, great, and if not, this is not like what Ringstar is going to be built on. But Al and me are friends, and I certainly hope that I can promote some of those events.
It's interesting because that kind of circles us back to the beginning, or the first question, which is, are you looking to sign fighters, have your own stable, and make Ringstar that kind of promotion company, or the way that we got fights before, and what Oscar seemed to have a problem with, was that, you were willing to promote guys who were signed to other guys just to put the fight on and get the money. Which approach are you taking as Ringstar?
Both, exactly the same. Because Al Heyman has a philosophy that he doesn't sign fighters to promoters. Now, as a promoter, you can accept that or you cannot accept it. If you don't accept it, well, you know what? Then you're not going to promote any of the events. If you accept it, you're going to be promoting some of the events. And it's going to, it is beneficial for the fighters, it's beneficial for Ringstar, just like it was beneficial to Golden Boy to promote some of these events. Why is that? Well, because you can put some of your fighters on, some of the young guys, you can give them exposure. Look at Mayweather. When we promoted all these Mayweather fights, we didn't have Mayweather under contract, but it was hugely beneficial to Golden Boy, not only because of the fee, which was the promoter's fee, which was paid, but it gave us an opportunity to build up fighters. Canelo was built on Mayweather cards. He was on 3 cards. How did Canelo get all that exposure? He was on some of Mayweather's biggest cards, okay? So did he benefit? Did we benefit from that? Meaning Golden Boy? Absolutely. So if I can promote some of these events and put some of my other fighters on there, beside making a fee, giving exposure, I'd be a moron not to do that. So, but if other promoters feel, well, I'm only going to promote fights where I have the fighter signed, well, then that's their choice, and that's fine. So there is no right or wrong, but I am an entity which will make my services available to others who need somebody to promote the events.
You mentioned Canelo. You certainly had a hand in building him. Now Oscar, any chance he gets, tells us that Canelo is the biggest star in boxing, the biggest draw, bar none. He's number one. Do you agree that that's the position Canelo holds right now today?
Well, I think Canelo is clearly the biggest draw today. There is no other fighter who can sell 40, 50,000 tickets. It just doesn't. It's the biggest draw. No question about it. And I tend to think that Canelo is as well one of the top 5 pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Now, as it relates to promoting his pay-per-views, I probably would go a bit differently about it, because I don't think those pay-per-view numbers are all that impressive. I don't think so. Well, I'm not going to go. I'm not promoting him anymore. So I be like giving people my blueprint? No.
The rival for Canelo is obviously Triple G. There's been so much discussion. Who's ducking who? Should he step up? Is that fight should have already been made? If you were at the helm, does that fight get made? And if so, how do you see it going? Who's the winner?
Well, I think if I would be at the helm, the fight would already happening. Probably would already have happened, and we probably would already know who won or who lost, and we probably would be talking right now about the rematch, which would be huge, by the way. Okay, but it doesn't happen. But I would make it happen now. I would make it happen in May, and I know it's going to be a great fight, and I personally think that Canelo is going to win.
Obviously some people believe that. Why do you believe that?
Because I know Canelo, the kind of warrior he is, and he has gotten better with every fight. He learns. The guy is just like unbelievable. I mean, the guy is a fucking unbelievable fighter, and he is going to take care of business with Golovkin. I have no doubt about it. And that's why, what are you waiting for? Go and do it again, and then in September he can give Golovkin another chance at a rematch.
We see Al Haymon taking fights overseas to the UK. There's a lot of money there. There's a lot of interest there. They pack stadiums. Is that a market that you're looking to dig into? And if so, are you looking to sign fighters over there to your stable of Ringstar?
I already have spent a substantial amount of time and effort and money on focusing on the UK market, and it will definitely, without any question, be one of the markets I will do business in.
And lastly, Richard, for the fighters that are looking at you now, your name rings out. It's polarizing. Some people love you.
Some hate me.
Some hate you. It's true. And, you know, Floyd Mayweather said, you are Golden Boy. You know, Bob Arum has had just some disparaging words. But now that you stand here as Ringstar, your own individual promoter, what's your pitch to fighters to come to Ringstar and work with you as their promoter?
Well, I mean, you see the fights and fighters I promoted in the last 15 years. I mean, it really is the who is who, from Barrera to Marquez to Winky to Shane to Bernard to Oscar to Canelo to Floyd to Maidana to Mars to, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So, and what I think I've done very well is I have empowered the fighters, and I have made them a lot of money. I know how to maximize revenues. I know how to build a business, and you know, Mayweather is the most talented and best fighter of our generation, without any question. And he was making $3-4 million, $2-4 million, and then in 2007 we started to work together, and then his purses very quickly escalated to tens and tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars, making him not only the highest paid fighter, but the highest paid athlete in the world, okay? So I tend to believe that I had a little something to do with that, and I think Mayweather is the first one to acknowledge that as well, and that's what I bring to the table. Winning fights, becoming champion, I think that's all great, but I really want to empower the fighters and make them a lot of money.
With his affinity for you, you may be the one guy that could get him back in the ring for number 50. We all know that that would be a cash cow bonanza, a huge boxing event. Can you do it? Would you do it? How would you do it?
Well, first of all, if he would do it, we would make it the biggest global boxing event in the history of the sport, bigger than Mayweather and Pacquiao was. Because it truly would be historic, and I would be so freaking passionate about it. And but you know, I respect Floyd. Floyd is my friend, and he's retired, and I'm happy for him that he's retired on his own terms. And whenever he does decide, if he does decide to come back, then you know, it will be a big day for the sport of boxing. It will be a big day for sports, period, because he is the one who really carried the sport. Not among boxing fans, you know, there were many other fighters, but in the general market, it was Floyd Mayweather who brought the sport of boxing to the general market. Love him or hate him, but he has been great for the sport, and he is greatly missed.
Richard SCHAEFER, welcome back to boxing. I appreciate it. We can't wait to see your impact on the sport. Thank you for so much time. Radio Raheem with Richard SCHAEFER of Ringstar Promotions.